Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Here she is, Hannah Zwartz, Kapiti Coast District Council's Green Gardener. Good afternoon.
Kia ora, Tanya.
Did you bring me some olives in? I've seen your notes, and I know we're talking about olives after Easter, but I'm just, olives. Okay, but we're not talking about olives today. We're talking about spring bulbs.
Spring bulbs, yes. I know it seems really weird to be talking about spring bulbs in autumn, but in fact, that's one of the joys of gardening, is that you always got one foot in the future. If you don't plant them over the next few weeks, then you'll miss out next spring.
And that's the best bit of spring, is having all your jonquils come up and sticking your face in them. And
they're such a lovely flower, and I love the scented bulbs the most, I think. But it really cheers you up in the spring just when you need a bit of a lift. So they'll be available in the garden centres now or mail order. And of course, spring bulb, they're actually very sensible because they come from parts of the world where things get very, very dry. Like a lot of the bulbs, tulips and jonquils and so on, they come from the Mediterranean areas, which tend to have a very hot, dry summer. So they basically store their energy. They don't even try and grow over summer. They just go underground, pull the duvet over their heads and hibernate in the opposite of hibernators in the summer. And then, as in the countries that they come from, we get more water over the winter. So that's the time when they're growing, putting their leaves out, and then flowering in spring in time to seed or whatever before they go back underground again.
Well, that makes sense, because I was talking to you off air about my parents have been down, and I said, Mum, this is odd. We've only just started autumn. And I said, my spring bulbs are starting to shoot through the ground.
Yeah.
And now you've explained why. They're going, hello, it's not so hot now.
Yep. And of course, the day length and that affects them as well. So they can be expensive, but they're such a good investment because they come back year after year after year. But for that reason, you have to think about where you're going to put them, because quite often, and I've been guilty of this myself, that's how I know, if you plant them too close to a shrub that's going to grow bigger, then they end up all stuck under, the shrub grows out over them, then they pop up through, make a really untidy, kill off the shrub or whatever. So just think about how big everything else is going to grow. Try and find a nice clear place for them. They don't like competition from other plants, and you don't want to be moving them around too much. The other option is to put them in a pot, of course, which is also what I do quite a bit, because that way they quite like being in a pot. They like that good drainage. When they're in full flower, you can move them into the middle of your deck and really enjoy them. And then when they start to die back, you can just tuck them around the back of the garage or whatever.
Imagine that, in a pot. You could put them under your bedroom window and that smell would waft through.
Yeah. Well, you can always pick them and bring them inside, and you can, of course, grow them inside in a jar if you want.
Good grief. You are just full of information, Hannah. I'm learning something every day. Okay, well, thanks for that today. I'm going to start thinking of spring already. That's a good feeling. That's Hannah Zwartz, Kapiti Coast District Council's Green Gardener. Thanks, Hannah. We'll see you tomorrow.
106.3 Beach FM.